Well, we have footage of the Eagles actually reporting to training camp today, although there's a new player just recently signed off the USFL Championship team. Does he actually have a chance to make the roster? We'll dive into that. Also, Nolan Smith, Haason Reddick, the connection that is crucial for Philadelphia this offseason. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show. Very late on a Tuesday. The Eagles have reported, and we have the footage. Take a look. This is all we got. We didn't get a lot of footage. I was kind of surprised. It's like, oh my gosh, waiting on my Twitter timeline for the Eagles to start showing up, and yet the Eagles Twitter account gives us a 20-second video of the guys showing up. Now, it's not necessarily the most exciting stuff in the entire world. They're just showing up to what will be their first practice tomorrow, but fun to know they are officially reported. That means we're here. We did it. Pat yourself on the back. The Eagles' first practice is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Nick Sirianni will speak to the media tomorrow at 9:30 a.m., so we'll have plenty of coverage of both of those things here on the channel. Now, there is some breaking news. Philadelphia has worked out a couple of players right before training camp starts, including former first-round draft pick wide receiver KealHarry. This is very, very interesting and doesn't make a ton of sense, but let's start with the whole players that they worked out and then get into KealHarry as well. Here's the list as of a couple of minutes ago. Marcus Allen, the linebacker, different Marcus Allen. Quentin Barrow, the tackle. Deon Cain, who we'll talk about it in a little bit. Obviously, they signed him. KealHarry, Javonte Payton, DeAndre Houston Carson, and Ofutu Maka, I believe is how you say that guy's name. Forgive me if I got it wrong. I want to focus in on, though, the KealHarry situation, which is interesting because the Eagles did sign Deon Cain, which means they probably are not going to sign KealHarry, but they at least took a look at the 25-year-old who was drafted number 32 overall by the Patriots back in 2019, but never turned into anything. And obviously he was traded away. He was the Chicago Bears last year, 7 passes, 116 yards, and a touchdown in 7 games. I mean, this guy clearly is not going to live up to his first-round draft, selection. He's an overall bust. But the fact the Eagles worked out multiple wide receivers and then settled on Cain, we'll talk about in a second, is very, very interesting to me, and I think it's worth at least noting from a Philadelphia Eagle perspective. Over here to the signing of the day, and that has to do with Deon Cain, the former USFL Championship Game MVP this year, is an Eagle, once again, because he was formerly an Eagle last year, if you remember, following all the training camp coverage, and of course, watching preseason games. He was one of their better backup wide receivers who would have made the roster had they not have a guy named Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Here's the write-up from CBS Sports, quote, one of the camp standouts on the Eagles last season, Cain finished with 8 catches for 106 yards. He had an excellent rapport with the backup quarterbacks last season, but Gardner Minshew, Reed Sinnett, and both elsewhere. Are both elsewhere. He'll be working with Marcus Mariota and Tanner McKee this training camp. Cain will be competing for the 5th wide receiver spot on the roster with Britton Covey, Devin Allen, Joseph Ngata, Greg Ward, Tyree Cleveland, Charleston Rambo. Remember, Covey, of course, held the 5th spot this past season as your primary punt returner, meaning that Philadelphia only has about 5 wide receiver spots. I'd be surprised if they go with 6, so you're essentially asking not only Rambo, Ngata, Ward, Cleveland, Devin Allen, and now Deon Cain to all compete for 1 spot. Now, Cain can do it. Again, he was one of the better Eagle practice squad, or I'd say Eagle training camp wide receivers this past season, but the climb is very, very much uphill, and the odds of him actually making it are very, very slim. Now, if he does, fantastic. He did catch 3 touchdowns in the USFL Championship game. That's why he's on this roster, but if we were to cut him or let him go at the end of the cuts, I would expect another team to go ahead and pick him up. He should be on a roster or at least a practice squad at some point during the NFL season. Over here to Haason Reddick's hype video, year 7 for number 7, he shared with his Twitter followers just yesterday. This is good stuff. I mean, I'm pumped for Haason Reddick. Here's a guy who obviously is one of the best pass rushers in the National Football League, and he can only keep getting better, right? 16.5 sacks this year. Why not lead the league in sacks? Very, very possible. My question, though, is how does he work with Nolan Smith? Now, Jacob Media had a very interesting little clip on their Twitter account yesterday saying sky's the limit for Nolan Smith. Rob Ellis of Jacob Sports says he thinks Nolan Smith's going to shock the world this year. Now, it's not necessarily on any sort of actual reporting. It doesn't guarantee he's going to shock the world this year, but a lot of people are very high on Nolan Smith. I like Nolan Smith. I've said many, many times, I'm not expecting big things from his rookie year. I expect year 2, year 3 to where he really comes into his own, but he could shock me and some of the Nolan Smith doubters out there if you had a scenario where Haason Reddick takes him under his wing, like he's kind of mentioned that he would do, and gets him ready to play this training camp. That's why I'm very curious to see the Reddick-Nolan Smith dynamic, both on the football field and off the football field in the locker room. Something to watch for of the many things happening during Eagles camp over the next couple of weeks here. How much of a rapport do these two build together? Because let's be honest, the pro comp for Nolan Smith is on the Eagles. It's Haason Reddick. Now, you can argue it's Micah Parsons based on size and speed, but Reddick plays outside linebacker, one of the best pass rushers to do so. That's what Nolan Smith wants to become. So keep an eye on these two, especially starting early. Is he going to be a mentor role for Haason Reddick? Will he focus more on himself? Not sure, but that is a very, very important, I'd say, underlying story of the Eagles training camp for a lot of people who want Nolan Smith to make an instant impact, aka 6, 7, 8, 9 sacks his first year versus what will be more likely 3, 4, or 5. Over here to another Jacob Sports tweet. This has to do with the NFL Top 100. Look who was left off of the NFL Top 100. And of course, this is what's, voted on by your players and your coaches and your peers. And James Bradbury, second team All-Pro cornerback, did make the list. He was 107th according to NFL Films, which is pretty crazy that he was unable to make it, right? I mean, come on, this guy was really, really good. I know that we have some recency bias of the Super Bowl and the Juju Smith-Schuster holding call, but still, the fact he didn't make the top 100 list is very, very surprising. Now, there was an Eagle who did make the top 100, at least the first initial reveal of the top, 20 that were released, is Devontae Smith. He makes his debut in year 2, and he was the 100th best player ranked in the National Football League this past season. Now, I would argue he should be a little bit higher. Terry McLaurin was higher than he was, although I think a lot of us would take Devontae Smith over Terry McLaurin. A little bias based on that guy over there, but still, you get my point. This would not be his last time. I'm very curious how much higher he can get based on what can be an even better year 3 going into 2023. Now, there are other Eagles who will also be on this list. I think Jalen Hurts, I think some of the offensive line people, some of the other defensive line players as well. I obviously think A.J. Brown is going to be pretty high on this list. There will be more in the top 100 as the reveal continues over the next couple of days here, but Devontae Smith makes it. James Bradbury does not make it, which again is a very, very strange thing and something that doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but I'm just done with being list. I'm tired of talking about list. We'll talk about actual football, and we get to do that tomorrow, so thumbs up and good news for that. Speaking of training camp and holdouts, we have an update on the Cowboy guard, Zach Martin from Dove Kleiman here. He is officially holding out of training camp per ESPN's Adam Schefter. This comes days after being ranked 99 overall in Madden. He will want more money, and the Cowboys are going to have to figure out how to give him more money with other contracts due. I think today they paid Trayvon Diggs a bunch of money on an extension, so $7 million a year for Zach Martin is clearly not enough. It's not going to get the job done. Will they have the money to go ahead and make him happy? And how long will he not hold out, or how long will he hold out and not report to camp? Seriously, this is a very big blow to the Dallas Cowboys as long as he is not out there. Now, if you get to actual games in the regular season, it's a different story, but still, you need to build rapport with the rest of the offensive line. I know they've been there for a little bit together, but it's important to be at training camp, and this could be a blow for the Cowboys, especially if this drags on and gets ugly, because there are friends and teammates in the locker rooms. When your guy's not getting paid, they kind of start feeling, a little iffy about the front office. So it's not a big deal. I'm sure he will get paid at some point, but worth watching. No guard from Zach Martin, the guard, or the Pro Bowl guard from the Cowboys at Cowboys camp, at least as early as today. Not a quick story here. Another person holding out for slightly different reasons, I'd say, is Nick Bosa. Now, he wants a new contract, but the teams and his agent are working on a brand new mega deal. It's a little different than Zach Martin, where a deal is not in place yet. A deal seemingly is almost done with Nick Bosa. However, he will hold out and not actually practice with the team until the deal is done, which makes sense because he's not going to want to get injured when millions and millions of dollars are about to be handed to him for being one of the best pass rushers, if not the best pass rusher in the entire National Football League. So keep an eye on that. Couple of your holdouts that are happening right now, but Philadelphia remains completely clean, which of course is great news because the Eagles front office has run things very, very well for the past couple of seasons and have not had any players in situations where they could be holding out or even wanting to hold out because they all either got their money or they went somewhere else. Okay, plenty more stuff happening. When I say that this week, I really mean it. This is officially the week. It's finally the week where the Eagles are going to be on the practice field. We're going to have the footage. We're going to have some of the audio, obviously, from interviews and what people are saying and breakdowns and who looks good, who looks bad. This is your one-stop shop for all Eagles and NFL news. I'm telling you, this is the place to be for training camp. If you appreciate that, go down, hit the red subscribe button. So close to 15,000 here. Hit the thumbs up button as well. And if you want Twitter stuff, you're on Twitter all day like I am, following Eagles content, give me a follow at Real Thomas Mott. It's a really good place because I retweet, quote tweet, and do all sorts of stuff regarding the Philadelphia Eagles over there as well. Okay, again, plenty more stuff happening. One more sleep. Let's pray for safety for the Eagles. Let's knock on wood they don't get injured. And let's go ahead and get ready for camp starting tomorrow. I can't wait. I know you guys can't wait either. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.